Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Das here. In this week's video, I decided I wanted to do a bit more of like a conversation piece instead of my usual scripted stuff. It's going to be talking mainly about why there's no survivor in the FNAF chapter. This has been a relatively controversial decision and something that a lot of people have been a bit angry about or confused with. So I wanted to make some stuff clear and explain the thought processes and the reasonings. So first off, let's talk about who people would think would be a survivor for the FNAF chapter and what people were kind of predicting. Most people were thinking it would be Michael Afton, who is Springtrap's son in the franchise. A lot of people assumed that he would make the best choice to have as a survivor. However, that decision comes with quite a few issues. One of them being we don't have a canon design for Michael outside of his like weird 8-bit style and a shadowy reflection in a mirror with purple eyes. That's all we've ever seen of Michael throughout the actual franchise, the game franchise of Five Nights at Freddy's. Now, people have made the argument saying like, oh, well, we can do the movie version, Mike Schmidt, and have it be a Josh Hutcherson type of thing. However, that wouldn't work either, simply because of the fact that the main killer is from the games. It's Springtrap from the games, and then the main survivor would have to be something that coincides with it. We've never had a chapter release where the survivor and the killer are from two different versions of that IP. They've always coincided with each other. So, for example, the Castlevania chapter, we got a survivor, we got a killer, we got Trevor Belmont and Dracula. They are both from the same version of the IP. One of them's not from the anime and the other one's from the video games. They're both from the games. Now, obviously, we got legendary skins to turn Trevor into different characters from the tenure of Castlevania. We had skins that made original survivors dress up like characters from the games. However, that doesn't mean that we can have the mismatch for survivor and killer. So having Mike Schmidt be the survivor makes absolutely no sense. And another argument people have been giving is Behavior can just do their own design of Mike and have Scott give the go-ahead. The issue is Scott is very protective with his IP. He does not want stuff with his IP that doesn't make sense or isn't what he would decide himself. So why would Scott want a game that is not his own, is not FNAF, to debut the design of one of the most important characters in his franchise? It makes no sense. Now, the other survivor that people would bring up as an option is Vanessa. However, this is also something that wouldn't work. Now, I know in regards to my last video, people were saying like, oh, Glitch Trap isn't Afton, it's the Mimic, it's all this stuff, and that's been a big issue with FNAF and the community in general is people take theories as fact all the time. One of the theories that people have is, oh, Vanessa was released from Afton or Glitch Trap's influence and is now their own thing. That's hasn't been 100% confirmed. It's been nothing but a theory, and we don't even know which ending of Security Breach and Ruin is the canon endings. We might learn more when The Secret of the Mimic releases, or we will have to keep on speculating and keep on theorizing. But the fact of the matter is, Vanessa, the Vanessa we know and we've seen, is Vanny. They are somebody who is inherently evil. They're part of a cult, and they've actually done malicious things. Now, obviously, people can argue like, oh, Tori Kane, the original survivor in Dead by Daylight, she's part of the Entities cult. That is true, but she's never murdered or injured anyone. In fact, she was hesitant on completing a sacrificial event where she was supposed to kill somebody in the name of the entity. But Vanny has been somebody who has been very malicious. So again, I don't think it would make sense to have Vanessa as a survivor because of the fact of the Vanny persona. And again, people might make the argument that, oh, well, we can have the movie version. But the same thing as I stated with the Mike Schmidt case still applies. It is a movie character paired with a game character. And again, I'm well aware we're getting a movie skin for Springtrap where it is the Yellow Rabbit voiced by Matthew Lillard. But again, that is just a skin. That is it. We are not getting anything else the FNAF movie is not the main source of this chapter. It is the games. Unless they made the Yellow Rabbit the base form of the killer, then I would agree with you. 100% we would have a movie character as a survivor. But that's just not the case. Now, there are a few other options as well. One of them being Gregory and Cassie from Breach and Ruin. However, they are both children. Behavior is not able to have children as survivors because they're not allowed to show kids being maimed and murdered. If they did, then they'd have to be marked as an adult-only game and not a mature game. They would have to completely change everything about their license and their age rating, and then multiple countries wouldn't be able to have Dead by Daylight playable because of that. Now, people can say like, oh, they can age up Gregory and Cassie, but the thing is, we don't know a lot about either of those characters. So one of the most popular theories for Gregory is he's a robot, that he's not a real human. Unless that's the case, unless like they confirm like, hey, he's not a robot, he's a human, the argument of like aging him up doesn't really work. And for Cassie, we don't really know much about her either. We don't know how much her involvement's going to be in the franchise. The other thing that people have said is like, oh, why not do a book character? We can do Charlie. And Charlie would be a pretty good option. However, from everything that we've seen regarding this DLC, there has been no book references or any content from the books at all. It's only been some stuff from the movies and the games. There's no foreseeable way I see Charlie having been a survivor because, hell, the FNAF community doesn't even read the books or look at the books for the most part. So I wouldn't really think that that would be something that would be considered. Now, obviously, I would have loved to have a survivor. A lot of people have been disappointed. Even big FNAF content creators like Daco was really disappointed that there's a survivor, that there's not a survivor in this game. However, I need to make some stuff clear. Matthew Cote, the head of partnerships, who used to be just the head of Dead by Daylight back in the day, he went on to multiple different podcasts and videos and stuff that was released right after the PAX stream, explaining all this decision making. So he explained that this whole FNAF chapter has been in the works for 2 years, since 2023. This has been planned out and worked on for 2 whole years. They worked extremely closely with Scott. Hell, Scott might have even been at their offices in Montreal to be there to work on them. Now, Scott has access to everything Five Nights at Freddy's. He owns all bits of the IP. Even the movies. Blumhouse does not own those rights. Scott does. And that's why we're getting the Matthew Lillard skin. Scott literally told the developers of Dead by Daylight, hey, this would be really cool. I know the fans would really enjoy it. Let me call up Matthew and make this happen. It was all him. So that would also mean these decisions that Behavior made in regards to this chapter were decisions that Scott okayed or Scott offered up. I'm more than certain Behavior would have been more than happy to include a survivor, either create a custom like design for a character or create an original character to go along with it or do something. But it's Scott's decision. It's his IP. He gets final say. It is Scott's whole thing. And I've been seeing a lot of people blaming just Dead by Daylight Behavior, saying they think it's pretty lazy. They think it's dumb. Again, it's not their decision. Everything had to be okayed from Scott. Behavior works very closely with all the IPs they have in this game, and they try to make things as authentic and to the liking of the IP holder. A perfect example of this is the Nightmare on Elm Street license. Behavior wanted to get the original Robert Englund version extremely, and they kept trying to negotiate with New Line Cinema back in the day. But New Line Cinema continuously say, nope, you get to have the 2010 remake. That's all you're going to get. Take it or leave it. And so obviously they took it. And that's also why there's been no cosmetics for that license. Freddy Krueger is very famously known to have the least amount of cosmetics out of every single character in general in Dead by Daylight. He has his base and his bloody prestige outfit, and that is it. He has nothing else. Quentin at least has an alternate outfit for himself that's slightly different, but that is all. This is all up to the license holders. Does that mean maybe we can get a chapter in the future, a part 2 for FNAF? It could. It very well could. Depending on what licensed cosmetics are revealed, we could very well get a a part 2 to Finance Freddy's, or maybe we get a survivor. Is that likely? Mostly not. I would say it's a 5% chance, but what are you going to do? You just got to think and consider, like, what is possible? What are you able to do? Well, what a license holder is going to want. I understand it's not what everyone wants. I understand most people want to have a full chapter. They want a map, a survivor, a killer, everything. But that's just not the case. That's not what's going to be given. And it sucks. It definitely does. But people need to come to terms and come to reality to it. I'm making this video simply to explain what the actual people working on the game have said and to explain thought processes and why these decisions are made. Because I've seen a lot of people in the Finance Freddy's community in general complaining and being really greedy and really just having expectations that are set way too high. Hell, I saw multiple reactions to the stream that they had at PAX where it was people who have nothing to do with Dead by Daylight. They're just in the FNAF community, and they were complaining. They're complaining about the developers talking about the quality of life. They're complaining that the FNAF section was only 6 minutes. It was just nothing but complaints. And that is one of the bad things about bringing in a huge community that has nothing to do with your game. You're going to have people who do not care about anything else that has to do with your video game. That is always the issue. So hopefully this kind of explained everything. In fact, a little peek behind the curtain for you guys. I'm actually re-recording this entire video simply because about 30 minutes prior to me recording this, BHVR, Dead by Daylight, announced when the live stream for the PTB is going to be. For those of you who aren't aware, PTB is public test build. That's where they have the next content coming up to test out and try. And then 3 weeks after that, it goes into the live servers. So on Twitter, I'll probably have it up on the screen during this, but on Twitter, they went ahead and they announced that on May 27th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, or for me, 8 a.m. Pacific, they'll be having a dev stream diving deeper into the chapter, showing the perks, the powers, probably more of the map, and probably skins that are coming. And then an hour after that stream starts, aka noon Eastern or 9 a.m. Pacific, the PTB will be up and live. So letting you guys know, I will be live streaming. I will be live streaming my reaction to that dev stream and the PTB. I'll be looking at the map and showcasing a bit of the killer with my friend and fellow content creator, Polyester. And then I'll do that for a bit with Polly, and then I'll go ahead and do my own solo stuff, playing killer, checking out Springtrap, learning him. So if you're curious to see how he's going to work, if you're not able to play the PTB, whether because you're working or because you're on console, by all means, you can check out my streams. I'll be streaming here on YouTube. I'll also be streaming on Twitch. You can find the link in the description of this video below. But I'm very excited. And 100%, once that stream goes live and everything, I will be making a video talking about basically everything they're showing. I'll probably be making videos showcasing gameplay of Springtrap and just talking about this in general. So expect quite a bit of content. I might actually post multiple videos in a week. We'll see. I'm trying to keep it to maybe one video a week, maybe a video every 2 weeks. We'll have to see. But again, that's everything that we know. But I would love to have you guys do a little something for me. In the comments down below, I want you guys to give me your predictions of what skins we might get. Now, this is going to have a caveat because Scott has stated that he does not want his characters to be portrayed in a way that they shouldn't be. So that means we're not going to be getting Freddy, Bonnie, Chico, or any of those characters as skins for killers because they're not killers. It needs to be something believable. So we're not going to be getting the puppet for the nurse, stuff like that. We might get Molten Freddy. We might get the Nightmares. We might get stuff along those lines. We might even get Burn Trap or Scrap Trap. But let me know, who do you think is going to get a skin? Who do you think is going to be made into a cosmetic? And give me your predictions for his power. I definitely think it's going to have something to do with cameras and the doors being placed. There's a 5 and a link chain. I definitely think that's going to be tied to probably generators. Like once all 5 generators are completed, the doors will open maybe, and that's going to be another way for you to escape. I'm not sure. I definitely think there's going to be a survivor interaction with cameras where you can maybe like block off Springtrap from doing certain stuff, kind of like in FNAF 3. We'll have to wait and see. But that's going to be it for me today, guys. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and as always, I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, and evening. Goodbye, everyone.